this. I move to approve the last meeting notes as presented. Aye. So I think that's one of the ones that we want to move to the end of the discussion, if that's okay.
We don't get to do it anyway, it's the council that votes on it, I believe.
Yeah, actually, it's not even gonna be a vote, really, it's just gonna be, mirroring the, bylaws as they're presented. There were some changes made, and we wanna go back to the actual bylaws.
All right, then we've got reports.
Well, I don't have an update on the sewer and water audit. At this time, I still need to learn how to run those reports, but I do know that the leak detection task order has been signed and they're ready to go, but we're just waiting for Ashley to come back so that she can provide them some GIS maps so they can move forward. But I've worked with Adam to make sure that they're going to be looking at the right part of town, that we're the 1/3 of the town that he's interested in looking at. So, well, hopefully the next meeting we'll have an update on when they're gonna get started.
Okay, good. And have they let you do anything on planning and rate analysis?
Well, I'm kind of, I'm reviewing the draft documents, so I'm the point of contact for Russ at SMA, so if he has any questions, he comes to me and I try and filter it out. And then I've done a review of the water master plan, and then the wastewater I still need to review, but we have to the 23rd of March. Randy and Isaac are also reviewing and providing comments, so they make sure that it's comprehensive.
I'm sure you have plenty to catch up on.
Yes, so far I have.
And Russ from Sauter Miller has provided his notes that he went through the master plan with. He's kind of the liaison, and I've submitted my comments to him also. So it's, we've all been kind of working together on the water and sewer side. So I still got to do the sewer also.
And that's on the rate analysis too, or
That's just the master plan document.
And on the rate analysis portion, I've been working with Judy and Andrew Ream to kind of look at all the inputs they're going to use for the rate analysis and how they're going to come up with the rates and what they need to take into consideration on the capital improvement side of things.
you're gonna make all the people mad when you raise the water bill.
I'm going to be absent on that day.
Are you all gonna do it the same way with the 3,000 gallons for free, or?
I think the rates or the gallon structure is going to stay the same. It's just looking at the rates compared to what it costs us as far as, of course, it's cheap now. We don't have any employees, but when we're fully staffed and what Randy needs actually to make the water is kind of what they're looking at.
No, I talked to Eric about it, but I had a couple of guys, one of the guys was my neighbor, that I have a rainwater catchment system on my house, and he came over and asked me about getting him a tank. He said, that damn village is charging me for 3,000 gallons, we never use that much, so I'm gonna fill that tank up with it. Well, we hooked his gutters up to it, so he never got a chance, but he's not the only one that said that to me. If you could come up with, I don't think it encourages conservation.
No.
If you came up, you have to make X number of dollars just to keep everything working. But if you had a base charge and then charged them by the gallon or 1,000 gallons, I think you'd get more conservation maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point is, charge them up. I mean, and they could do it up to the 3,000 gallons. So, a certain fee up to, that equal to 3,000 gallons. Cause I mean, there's looking at the what comes in each month from the property owners, majority of the property owners are going over the 3,000 gallons is what I'm saying. A household of 3 or more people are they're getting really close to
Yeah.
3,000 or going over, so,
But some of them aren't here, so that will go over when they are here and save, so it'd be hard to account for maybe. But I think it would encourage conservation more.
and it would, I think you're right. I think that when we did the last study, the biggest thing is irrigation. You know, watching what you use during the normal months, but a lot of people were watering at night and on the weekends, and that's how in the summer, that's how you know that people are
That they're doing it.
doing
yeah.
it.
And it's hard to catch them, make them stop probably, but if, get them to put in some rainwater systems, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the big points when they had that rate study last time too was also the same as they bring up with bond issues, is that there's so many meters that nobody's here. And they're collecting X amount a month from them. They're saying that's the revenue that they didn't want to lose. But I think it was like back in the 70s that they used to have metered usage. And they changed that to a flat rate. But something like that, and they never went back. They said that they were going to go back to meter.
Well, that may be because of the absentee owners,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think it would, as many people as we do have absent second homes, that's gonna kind of drown down the revenues quite a bit, people not using it. Especially on you get people that aren't here for 6 months out of the year, that's a revenue that's not even, of course, they'll still be saying they're paying a water bill because of solid waste and the sewer and everything else, but it's gonna hurt if you do that.
Yeah, I got a water bill on my Alamogordo house that was vacant until the new guys in it. It was $11.38 for the month.
Wow, that hurts, huh?
Yeah. Not near as bad as this one.
Oh, I know it.
All right, looks like Randy's ready. Grindstone and the water tank.
Good afternoon. The Grindstone Dam emergency spillway and surface repairs. It's basically 60% completed on the design. And they put a cost proposal together, which we're actually going to meet on it at 3 o'clock today. But we have it rescheduled for Thursday morning at 9:30. And I've got it in front of me, but it's got a lot of items and I've got a lot of questions. So I need to get some clarification on it because we might be able to reduce and drop some of the items. So it came in $689,820, but that's with the 25% contingency built in also. And I don't know, I just need clarification and then we might have to adjust it, try to get it down some. But that's to cover the spillway repairs and the dam crest. So quite a bit of work involved. So other than that, any questions on that project?
Yeah, I forgot what you're calling it, but there was a pipe that went from the lake up and over.
Yeah, the 48-inch line that runs underneath.
Did they get that taken care of?
No, we're still on hold because there was some questions about the funding in the SGRT. And so what they wanted to do is to make sure that it was all cleared up and I guess there was a deficit or something. But what I also did is I went through all 12, well, it's actually 11 task orders with Yeh and Associates. And on some of the projects, there was additional money saved that we didn't use. So I put it all together and I gave it to Christella and I think it was $170-something thousand. So that should help cover some of the cost.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get that one moving because it's it's an important item. And everything's got to work with their timing and, you know, because I know they get real busy and they're trying to get out here to get it done. But, so we're still working on that.
We're hoping that now that we've amended those POs and closed them out because the project, those task orders are completed, that we'll be able to demonstrate to finance that we have the funding available in SGRT to move forward on that. So we were supposed to wait for the month-end reports that come out this week from Judy, and we should be able to see what the difference is made. And if we can find the funding to do it this fiscal year, we will.
So
Question on your proposal there that said it had a 25% contingency fee.
yeah, that's one of the things that we're questioning, you know, so.
How do they, if they don't do something, do they just give you credit for labor and material, or?
Change
are they
order?
giving you credit for profit too?
Yeah. I don't know, that's a
You're
good.
gonna have to watch those things.
Well, I know what they were doing is, I think in the new projects, I think they were putting in, what, 10 or 15%? You know, on the projects going forward, because without a contingency, it's kind of tough if you run across some issues, you know, especially like Plant 3.
Change order though, then.
Yeah. Yep.
Which
But
aren't good either, but.
no, I don't like to go to council for those. So.
Do you have any kind of time frame you have to hit, put on you?
Oh, on this project, the one that John's talking about, or this
On the
current?
spillway?
Oh, the spillway? Well, we're trying to incorporate some of the good weather conditions, and the only other issue that's coming up is their contract ends, the final extension is ending in June, so I know Chris and I had talked about trying to do a 6-month extension, some way to keep them on a little bit longer to close out these final projects. And with that 48-inch line, we can't complete the other project until that portion's done, because you have to clean it and then inspect it and videotape it, and then that's a good part of it. That's, you know.
Did they have to re-engineer it?
Um,
Sounded like you needed a better screen at the intake.
Well, that's an item that's going to be in the future. So James did say we are going to have to look at that, because that's the probable cause where all that sedimentation and rock is coming from. So we are going to have to look at something, you know, with that. You know, either putting it's got a bar rack around it, but doesn't have any screen over the pipe, so, like the other ones. So, yeah, I think he'll give us a little bit of time on that, but,
Of course, if you take too long, you're gonna have to clean it out again.
yeah, it's a catch-22. But I've got a meeting with James Head tomorrow sometime. We're gonna do a quick conference call. So I'll try to find out a little more information on that.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that one? Okay, the next one is the tank rehab project with Sauter Miller and Associates. I received a bunch of the documentation today, and I forwarded that to you, Chris, also. So it's got most of the design and a bunch of items in there. And they did put a cost proposal together, or an engineer's estimate. Pretty high. It's like 2.5 million. So, I mean, there's 4 main components to that project. It's gonna be the west tank on Alto, which they're gonna rehab it and, you know, recoat it, repaint it, take care of a lot of the deficiencies that were in the sanitary, or in the inspection that we had. And they're also rebuilding that vault, which will satisfy that significant deficiency from the last survey that we had. What I also did is I sent the drawings to Joe Savage just to make sure that we have everything covered on that, and I believe we do. So that should help out a lot. The other part is the grindstone tank, that's going to be rehabbed, one of them. And then the country club tank, I mean, not country, what is it? Little D tank, the 1 million gallon, that's going to be taken care of also. And then the backwash tanks are going to be eliminated and demoed. And then we're tying that whole system in, so. And then we're going to build a small tank on site at Plant 1. And then we're going to also put in a small generator pumping station. And then that'll solve a lot of the issues with the backwash tanks. A lot cheaper doing it this way than the other way.
So is everything you said, is that 1.2 million?
What's that?
Is that
It's 2.5.
2.5 million, I'm sorry, for
Yeah.
all that?
But there's a contingency also in that one. I did see that. And then the GRT, that's pretty high too, so that was included also. And I've got it in front of me, but
Randy,
you need your
On the G-
bifocals to,
on the GRT,
yeah.
if it's in Alto, are they charging us county rates? They should.
They
This is
should.
where the work takes place.
Yeah, because that property is located in the county, so,
Anything like that, watch them on it.
sure.
It's like 3%.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know we had another question that came up with Sauter Miller and Associates, because when I did a task order, he said, you have the wrong GRT on there, or the rate. I said, no, because we used it here, but he said, we design it in Las Cruces, so we should use the Cruces rates.
For the design and engineering, but not
Yeah,
for
but
the
not-
actual work.
Yeah. So that's where it got a little,
You know, you gotta really watch them on that, but material and labor that take place here,
should be on the Ruidoso rates.
so we can get some of it back.
Sure. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, they like to charge everything at one rate where
Yeah.
they are.
But this one, he was saying, well, the rates would actually be lower because, in Cruces versus here, which is true, but I told him, the project was actually going to be built here. But yeah, it's designed in Cruces, and
Yeah, yes.
so
And the rates may be lower,
they are,
but it's not the way you're supposed to do it. Plus, we get some of that back.
Sure.
If we pay our, so,
so but I think, so on that project, we have a lot of stuff moving, and they do have a timeline and a schedule that's all proposed, and so we're trying to really get that moving, because it's going to satisfy a lot of issues, so. And then what we basically did is we took the most important items, which the Alto tank was number one, because that tied into the sanitary survey, a significant deficiency issue. So that addresses that one. But I also did an operations summary when I submitted the MOR on the 3rd, I believe it was, or the 2nd. And what I did is I changed up the format, and then I kind of put a lot of detail on the tank project. I gave them an update on the whole system and, what we have going on, and it seemed like they really appreciated it. So,
it's nice to have their input up front.
well, especially when it comes to a significant deficiency, I want to make sure everything's correct and everything's addressed. Because they did give us like an extension, you know, because they knew it was gonna be an engineering project and it was gonna take a little while, so. But, I keep them updated pretty well on these items, and I did do an update, I don't know, a couple months ago on where we were at, you know, with, figuring out or completing the deficiency, and so they like that a lot too.
So have you got funding?
Well, we do. I think we have, 1.5 in the budget for this year, and we're gonna look to seek additional funding for the next phase, or the next part of it.
Yeah.
Because this is broken down into 3 phases, and we're just in the first phase of it, so, which will probably be a little over 3 years, so.
Randy, is the 2.5 million just for the Alto tank?
No, that's for the whole construction,
Okay, so,
for the phase 1.
okay,
That's, you know, the Alto and the grindstone, the little D tank, the demo, and fixing the issue, you know, with eliminating the backwash tanks and putting in the generator and a new tank at Plant 1, so.
Well, if that's gonna take 3 years, leave good notes.
So that's phase one. How many phases after that?
2 more,
2 more?
yeah. But of course, it has to go out for bid and, you know, and the whole process. So,
So you're sticking around through phase 3?
no promises. No, what I'm trying to do is, I'm actually trying to get a ton of stuff done before I leave, so. I got a lot of projects that I want to complete and, you know, I want to get those done. And I'll tell you what, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and the guys have done a really good job, and even small things like the 3 pump houses. You know, we switched them over to VFDs and then 3-phase motors, and that's definitely really going to help out, you know, with the starts and the stop per hour. Because we'd burn out pumps because it would stop and start every couple of minutes, so. So we've done in the like country club, that's a whole new building and a whole new system. And that's a pretty good deal. The guys get the kudos. So, any questions?
No, thanks, Randy.
All right.
Hey, Chris, I think you're up. You got a big section there.
on the stormwater and drainage master plan, we received funding for the stormwater plan and have applied for funding for the drainage master plan, and we're waiting to hear back and see if we're gonna be able to get the funding. I'm pretty sure we will, but I've already started working with NMED to move forward with obtaining the stormwater funding package. We have to get a resolution and a bunch of different documents together. So it's a $250,000 grant or loan and then a $100,000 match. And we've got that already set aside.
So are you getting DOT involved at all?
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm sure we will. We're just right now just working on trying to receive the funds. And then once we do that, we'll have to move forward with all the project planning.
Because we tried to blame the flooding on Sudworth one time on them, and they weren't having any of that.
Well, thanks for letting me know that I need to look at that. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Okay, good.
And then the stormwater management in Horton Complex, the design's been completed. I spoke with Zeke at White Sands Construction, and they were just waiting for better weather window to complete that. So I think that's still part of phase 1. The back part of it is a part of phase 1, and I think that's gonna be completed in spring, is what he said.
Yeah.
And then the fine screens at the wastewater treatment plant, we received the technical memo from Moles and Corbin, and we are going to move forward with presenting it to the JUB for approval so that we can move forward with replacing the fine screens at the plant. And then Alto Reservoir improvements and Upper Canyon surface diversion. We received the 100% design from Moles and Corbin on both of those. We provided comments, and we're just waiting for them to send back the final version. We had everybody internally reviewing that and send comments back to them, and once we receive that, we can move forward with the RFP process. The river well rehab, we have advertised it. We had one response. We're still currently reevaluating the response to see if it met all the criteria that we established. And if that is so, then we'll move forward with awarding that. And the hazard mitigation and stabilization for the sewer line Phase 3, we have continued to obtain easements for that project. We're only about 4 away from getting all the easements that we need. They've done work on location 9, and they're now working on location 8 and 8A. So we're moving along. It seems like AUI is a really good contractor. They've kept their end of the bargain with most things. They keep us informed, so it's going a little bit smoother, knock on wood.
Good.
And the location 9, they, if you guys remember, part of the first phase of this project was the slip lining and stuff like that. Well, SAK was gonna install a manhole at location 9. Well, being that, AUI had to do the mitigation of the river in that area, we went ahead and took it out of SAK's contract and put it in AUI's contract, and that's the manhole that was installed at the bend there. And then at location 8, they've set up their bypass piping and stuff like that, getting ready to start the work in the river.
So have they been able to keep from making all the homeowners mad?
You know, we really haven't had too many, complaints at all. I mean, they've had weekly tailgate meetings out on site and online. Just if anybody had concerns or had questions or anything else like that. And I mean, we've had a few people stop by and ask questions, but really there hadn't been a whole lot of attendance at them.
That's good.
Yeah, and we've also, and we still have that contract with High Water Mark, and anytime we get any kind of inquiry, even if it's not a homeowner, but just somebody interested, we try to set up a call with them to talk to them about their questions and answer whatever questions that they have and make sure that they feel like they're informed. And then when they start to work in a certain location, they will go door to door and let those homeowners know, or leave a little tag just so that they know, a notice that they're going to be in the area working. So we're trying to do as much as we can to avoid any of those miscommunications.
Have you been able to get all the structures out of the floodplain?
No.
Did you get those pictures a little while ago?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Actually, I'm glad Marty brought that up. Candace from High Water Mark, they're doing well, Marty was out there with them. We did the substantial completion walkthrough today for the lift stations. And I guess, they're always checking out the river and looking at the sewer lines and stuff like that. And she had found a new structure that somebody had built right by Martin Road. And she sent me pictures of it just a little bit ago, so we're going to have to follow up on that one.
Well, this was when I was still around, but there was a meeting and some lady had a gazebo that needed to get moved up the hill, and the engineers hadn't really thought of that.
Yeah, I think that was location 5, I believe, if I remember right. But that was one of the ones that was eliminated, and we moved down to 5B. So I think that gazebo is still gonna stay standing for now
Till it floods again.
until it floods again.
Do you guys got any outstanding easements to procure?
We have about 4, 2 of them we've been working with Frank Koppler on, and then the other 2, we sent one we needed to get information to the homeowner and Candace, and I will be talking to that homeowner on Wednesday. And then the other one is, we sent him a letter back with a counter offer, and we're hoping to hear back from them, but that's really all that we have left.
Oh, because you haven't had to work on those particular easements for too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while. Yeah, poor Ron had it for a long time, then he passed it on. And we're still, it's just the same. There's a few of them that are just not willing to budge, so we're working with Frank Koppler on that.
We did have a little conversation of where, I don't know if we write up ordinance or by whatever, is that, have a discussion to get to, these, procurements of the easements, a little quicker is to just give 3 strikes, essentially 3 attempts, and then in a, say, 3-month period, and then automatically go to
Eminent domain.
Eminent domain.
domain instead of dilly-dallying around for a year or 2 years.
Well,
So
I
that's-
believe under eminent domain, we can go ahead and start,
Yes.
do the project.
Absolutely,
And
while
then
it's in
work it
court.
out in court, so it
So
doesn't
that-
hold the project up.
So I don't know what we have to do that there, Ron. Is that through?
Yeah, we have the process in place already.
Okay.
We have Frank Koppler's law firm working with us. With a couple of the property owners, we're just letting him do sending out the final letter and the easements, and then we'll see what the response is, and then we'll have to, Zach will be the one that'll be following up with going through having some sort of legal ramification on that, so. But we have some that
Trust.
we were able to contact them. We think we're moving forward, and then you just can't, they all live out of town, out of state, and it just, communication part of it's just, it's not good.
And I think one of the walls we've run into also is I know 2 of them for sure are actually in a trust, like a family trust.
Right.
So, there's some of them that are willing to sign, but then the other siblings aren't, they're asking more questions and stuff like that, so. It's just been we've been trying to do our due diligence and try to make everybody, keep everybody happy and, kind of let them know what's going on, but it's kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, but now we're moving forward, so.
We've learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I think what we're gonna, part of the strategic plan for capital projects is to come up with an SOP for how we obtain easements in the future. But part of the difficulty is documenting the 3 attempts. So if you're sending it out and someone doesn't respond, you don't know if maybe you have the wrong address or they're just not responding. It's hard to document that we've done our due diligence. And so we're trying going above and beyond because we want to make sure that the homeowners have their answers, their questions answered when and we've run into issues where sometimes the surveys were incorrect. So we had to go back and have those changed. So there's been a lot of going back and forth.
So you send those out certified letter with the response requested?
We did that initially, and then we've emailed them, and sometimes we'll even give them a FedEx number so that they could send it back to us quickly, but it's just that it'll get there, and sometimes people get busy and they forget about it.
Well, I forgot, it's actually a receipt.
Return
that they
receipt.
Received it.
Yes, but sometimes, we found out that people who said they never got it, Karen did send out those to the correct addresses, and they just never signed for them. So you gotta make them go to the post office to get it, sometimes they don't even do that, so.
All right. Adam, so the rest of them are yours.
Okay. Pine Cliff Street water and sewer improvements. The design is 100% complete. It has been phased into 5 phases. We are looking at on top of the geo bonds for the water part, we're looking at a grant for the sewer piece, other than CDBG, just so we can, get it started. So, Christel and I have been working on that to try to get that done. And then, Region 9 sewer line extension is complete. I've actually been working with the engineer for Region 9 and their design and let them, kind of getting them the invert elevations and everything for them to get started on their project. Mary Drive waterline replacement, Michael Chavez just finished up Region 9, so his next endeavor is gonna be Mary, to get that water line replaced, and then we'll get that road paved over there. Meacham Meadows Housing, not General Hydronics, Renegade Construction was actually on site today, doing their pressure test for the water line, and they charged it up, and I guess when they were compacting, when they put the water line in, they cracked the pipe, so they're having to do a repair. So hopefully tomorrow they'll do the pressure test, and then they'll send their back tees in, and we can fire that one up. They did, I don't know, they did get the last home set at Meacham Meadows. So they're actually working on the utilities right now to that house. And then as soon as we can get this water line charged up and stuff, they can have just all the utilities to the houses.
Somebody told me you had a problem with the electrical, is that right?
No,
That it wasn't to code or something?
no, everything's been good with the electrical.
Okay, good.
We've had to move a couple of meters and stuff like that from the original design, just because of the parking for the homes. But other than that, I think everything's gone pretty well.
Well, you're putting a lot of them on that piece of property.
Yep. Lift stations and force mains, as I said earlier, we did the substantial walkthrough today. Marty, if you wanna come up, if you have any.
We did the walkthrough today. Everything was completed. On the punch list, there was just a little bit of cleanup, like, underneath the hatch doors. They left a couple of bolts and nuts and some concrete, so they're gonna get that vacuumed up. They completed all the backfill of the manholes that were supposed to be taken out. They put concrete on the bottom of the troughs, and then they were just putting base course in. And we talked to them the other day, and we told them just take the lid and rings off and put concrete on the top. So if it ever floods again, it's not pulling that base course out and people aren't walking if the river should shift. It was just a safety issue. So they pulled the ring and lids off of some of them, left the rings on some because they were built into the cone itself. So they did pull the lids off, and they're gonna be taking those back to our shop. The only thing that's left is mission controls, which I think Terry and Randy are gonna handle. They left the boxes in both control panels, so we can hook up the mission controls to them for SCADA.
When do you need that?
As soon as you guys can do it. They already ran power to the mission control box that's inside, and then they left the box inside, so there's all the other hardware or whatever we
We'll
need.
get with Terry on that tomorrow. He's off today, so.
Okay. And then, they did pull all their locks off the cabinets and all the hatches, so, I have to purchase locks. There's gonna be I think there's a total of 15. So I'm gonna have to buy some locks, either the combo locks or the key locks. I have enough for the cabinets, and, I'm gonna see what other locks I could find just to lock the hatches for right now until we get locks to stay there. And then, Molson Corbin wants us to do a test, with our generator, hooking the generator up to that electrical line that they have up there, so that we can make sure we can power them. Bixby just left the wires hanging there with some ends on the wires, so we can go ahead and hardwire it to that, and then possibly put a quick connect on it, and then we have to hardwire it to our generator and make a pigtail on it. So I'm gonna see what I can get done. They want that done in the next month.
Yeah, one of the issues we ran into is, we want the plugs for, each one of our lift stations, so we can hook up our generators to them. That one being three-phase, on our generator, there's 3 lugs on there, so there's not actual pigtail, it's a hardwire. So what I've been working with Big Z, and I actually been working with LeMay Electric also, since he's gonna do it, since he's our electrician, is to make us a pigtail for each one of our 3 phases, so they're all the same, and we can plug them into our.
So we can hardwire it onto the generator and then just have a quick connect plug. And then the other thing that we have to do there is we're gonna try that flush pipe that they have on, Sleepy Hollow lift station, and just make sure everything's working correct on that. But other than that, they just had little touch-ups like cleanup and little items. They had a little splash of concrete on some of the conduit and stuff, so that we have them clean that up, and, but everything else went good, so. They just have like I said, a little bit of cleanup, and everything else is good on them. We did the startup on them last week, and we got training from JCH on the pumps and everything there, and, everything worked well, so they're in use right now.
May actually get finished one of these days.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing we have, and we're actually gonna do it in kind, is, we're wanting to just finish up the project and get the contractor out of there. We have to relocate a piece of culvert that was extended from the Circle Lift Station. My street guys are gonna do that. And then there's a pile of dirt and rock that was taken out for the lift station that was left there. And the homeowner at the bottom of the hill, I guess during the flood, lost some of her, she said there's a rock wall with boulders going along the river there. And the flood washed them away, but she was indicating that one of the contractors had went through there and took the rocks out. So we're gonna take those rocks and stack them there and, make her happy, just because, it's kind of been an inconvenience for her, coming in and out of there.
Has a little bit of asphalt and stuff in that pile too, but once we're done with the rocks, then I guess we can.
We'll just haul it all
do
out.
whatever, and then haul it off. There's not that much there,
Yep.
but
Okay, on to John's favorite, the RGU shop building.
It's not imaginary anymore.
It's not imagine, we actually got
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
a temporary, occupancy. Yeah, so, the reason it was temporary is, we actually took the roadway and the parking out of the scope of work for the contractor, just because of the winter months, and we wanted them to go ahead and finish, so, we needed a handicap parking spot. And, my street guys are going over and putting some, millings down and putting a handicap sign there, and that'll suffice that, so we can get a permanent. And then, we did get the punch list items. Marty was there, actually helped them do the walkthrough on it. There's quite a bit of punch list items. It was mainly cleanup. They were really picky.
4 hours.
Yeah, yeah, it was a 4-hour walkthrough, and they were really picky on it. So they've been over there every day doing cleanup and doing baseboards and, little pieces of tile that they didn't like. They're caulking them and stuff like that. So it's gonna turn out really nice, and White Sands has been on it.
There's a guy, touching up, there's scuff marks when they were moving stuff, so you got little scuff marks on the door frames and stuff like that. So there was a guy actually doing the touch-up painting today. Thursday, they were scrubbing all the rubber baseboards all the way around. They've been doing a lot. I think that they already,
I think they're pretty much finished.
the only thing that I haven't seen them do, which again, I wasn't here on Friday, but I didn't know what they were doing on Friday, but, the gutters in the front, they have to reseal all the gutters, because the gutters are leaking water right in front of the base.
Is that the seam?
Yeah, right on the seams, and then on the back, there's some of that skirting that goes across the back, that concrete looking foam. And they were just tweaked a little bit, so the other guys are the same ones that are doing that, so they're gonna straighten that out and fix that, but, there wasn't very much, it was mostly cleaning up, vents and stuff like that.
So you haven't started moving in yet? Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, Marty's got his lock up in there. I actually worked on a couple of the trucks, me and Marty, last week inside the bays. We've got our equipment stored in there. And Marty's started to put, he's got all the sewer stuff in there, and in between the bays, we put, shelving. So he's got his stuff on the shelving between the bays where they just pull the trucks in and they can put whatever they need on the trucks. And he's got his lock up with all his goodies. It looks like a candy store in there when you walk in there. But you can't go in there, you just kind of look through the fence, and he won't even let me in there. He would give me the combo for it.
So I hear you guys gonna grill for the whole village here, when you
Sure.
open.
Yeah, Marty's got the budget for it, so we'll.
Use a gas grill.
Yeah, no, we're gonna buy, Marty, he went and got a new toaster oven for it. We got a nice kitchen in there now. He's got a new refrigerator, a new toaster oven for the guys, and then we're gonna. Yep. So we're gonna, as soon as we're ready, we're gonna get a new barbecue grill and stuff like that to put over there for those guys.
The last one we've been using it for like 10 years, I think, and we found it by the dumpster. Me and Dad were cooking for the guys, and it was like 5 burgers at a time. And they finally had it. But there's the other stuff that we bought from the shop. I bought paint for the floors, just for each base, so we coat them so we don't get that oil leaking into the concrete. And it's slip resistant, so we got that. I got a couple other things on order that we're gonna put in there before, we actually let the guys
still going.
We're trying to get it all set up that way when they go over there, there's nothing else to do. It's already.
Marty's got lockers, all the guys have lockers set up in there, so they're not wearing their, especially the sewer guys, so they're not wearing their clothes home. The shower's done, so it's a nice shop.
Sounds like a real shop. for
It is,
a
it's amazing. I wish, Ron won't let me move over there. I was trying to move over there, but he said no.
We have no room.
Yeah, they don't want me there no more.
Yeah,
Okay, Upper Sutter sidewalk rehab. I'm actually supposed to meet with, Michael from Renegade this afternoon and get an updated schedule for him, for them to start back and actually finish up the curbing on that. I have been working with the, business owner right before, 2906, it's like 2904, it's weird, the address in there. He's putting some parking in for, one of his buildings that he just bought. So I've been working with him, and hopefully we can get that knocked out. And then that kind of goes along with the Center Street realignment. They pulled off, we were waiting for, P&M to pull their poles, and we kind of Windstream kind of held us up because they still had their stuff on there. Finally got all the poles pulled. Renegade's actually gonna, work between Upper Sutter and Center Street to get that, the sidewalks completed on Center Street. Ron, on one of his daily walks, walked down there and had seen, some of the asphalt was starting to fail a little bit, so I got them on that one also, looking at that, see what we can do. It's just from the moisture and stuff, it's starting to crack, so we wanna make sure that we get a good project out of that. 2023 MAP and co-op projects. Street Department is actually, working on one of them today. The first one goes from, the Upper Sutter up D Street, down Resort. And they're actually on Resort, today, cleaning bar ditches and stuff, getting ready to do some overlaying on that. And then the other one will start after, I think in July, is, all the little side streets off Sutter, Carter's Park, all the way up to West Street. All those will be, part of that project of overlaying and some, chip sealing and stuff on those. And then, Cutler repaving. Cutler's actually gonna remobilize this spring. We had some failures on Paradise. I don't know if you guys have noticed. So we're marking them out and they're gonna come back. Ron's got some money for me to fix some of those failures, and I think they're gonna help us out on some of them also. That, the asphalt's starting to crack up and stuff like that, and then we'll move into the next phase of that, which is gonna be White Mountain Meadows, Reese Drive, Service Road, and Hull Road. Yes, Hull Road, Service and Reese,
and Cutler's gonna do it.
yes. So we're working on actually.
Leave them here.
Yeah, the main thing we're kind of having to deal with is Service Road, because it's more of like an alleyway. So we're trying to get right of ways and see how we're actually gonna do that. There's a ditch on one side, so either we're gonna have to put a culvert with some drop inlets so we can access, or something on the court side, on the Horton side of that Service Road, to kind of widen it out, especially for like even the trash trucks. I mean, if you drive through there, you have to kind of dodge dumpsters. So we'll work on that and try to get that.
A one-lane road, it's not
Yeah.
very wide. We really just experienced a lot of, through the monsoons, all the rain we've had, and then we had all that flooding on Gavilan. There's a couple spots on Gavilan that have failed. On the county side, I took a drive yesterday, and just all that water that came in, all the debris, all the boulders, and so I'm gonna get them to look at that and repair that. But boy, we just had a lot of, all that water just really took a beating on the sub-base.
Yeah, when they're paving over it,
All that water, or not all of it, some of that water drains down to Walnut. Did you get that handled or controlled down there?
Yeah, that was on Walnut in that area there.
yep. And that's all I had for my projects. One of the things that I want to bring back up now that Manager Sen is back in here is, in the bylaws, through the bylaws, it actually calls for this utility committee to meet, quarterly, every 3 months. And, we wanted to have a discussion on how the committee felt about that, going back to 3 months instead of monthly, instead of going over the projects, having some actual stuff done, having some time to get some of this stuff completed and coming back.
Well, voice my opinion there. I think it'd be all right because really a lot, people can get on the capital improvement projects as far as your Thursday meetings, so there's a lot of it covered there. And,
You miss John, though, we don't get to see John.
well,
We still call him in.
He can show up as an open meeting, right?
well, he says he wants to take Tim's place. At least.
Exactly.
Since he's sticking around.
Yeah, we're gonna keep him around.
I was gonna ask you on the, those little manhole cover things that they got,
Yeah, they did.
go all over the place.
They put some of that, liquid nails on there, but it was so cold. We were just trying to get it done because people were complaining and try to get something in there, but, we're actually gonna get a tar, like a roofing tar, it's more adhesive, more sticky, and it'll actually work a little better, I think, so.
Until it gets hot.
Until it's hot, yeah. Then we'll put liquid nails on top of that.
Some of that black glue that they put down that Congolium with,
Yeah, yeah. Don't get me started on that one, Joe.
Adam has a contractor though that's gonna lift the rings and the covers. When do you expect him to start?
I'm actually we're getting a count and how deep and how many we need to see exactly what we have.
There's 18 of them.
There's 18 of them, but they're different,
What?
they're different lengths, so, Marty looked and see what he had, and we're kinda seeing what we need to order, if we need to order anything. We ordered a bunch of them for Carrizo Canyon, and, so we do have those in stock, but this is more of cause Carrizo's more paved over, and we do have some of those on Carrizo.
Just the sooner before the heavy traffic
Yep.
hits, especially to get the traffic control over here from the state.
As soon as I don't have a meeting, I'll do it.
So went in here, down here at Royal and Morningside. Yeah, I thought it was a pothole at first, and I looked and there's a lid to it.
We get called a lot.
Yep.
People call at night and they call the police department. There's a big old black hole in the middle of the road. So I come all the way from the house and come out and, it's just a dark rubber mat and it's still in place.
Yeah.
But it just, and people, I get there, people are driving around it because the person in front drives running, so everybody else is.
It's like one of those, like the cartoons, it's like the Acme mats. You throw out there and it's a hole. So people think it is, it keeps moving.
Well, the
Yeah,
state,
you could paint like Elmer Fudd on there.
the state still has a few to take care of over on Meacham too.
Well, that's the ones we're doing.
Oh,
We're gonna, stay,
They're gonna help us out with traffic control.
yeah.
And, we did find a contractor, and like I said, we do have some rings in stock, so I'm coordinating with the contractor, and we're just gonna try to go and get them done.
how come we're having to do that on their road
They,
if we want it done?
Yeah,
yes, they moved quick enough on it and they said, well, we did, $6 million worth of work, we wish, if you guys could help us out with that, so. We just wanna get it done.
Yeah.
so what we're gonna do is, we got the contractor, they're gonna go through, raise them up, and we're gonna, the street guy's gonna go behind them with asphalt and kinda go around the ring and so that it holds in there,
That and your roofing tar?
our roofing tar.
That's what I thought, we ought to get that flex seal.
Not if you ever want back in them.
Marty's they gotta have a way to vent somehow, or Marty's gonna have some manholes that are eaten up. And like I said, that's all we had. I just wanted to get Joel's opinion on going back to 3 months instead of every month.
Do you guys have any, extra manhole covers that you could use, like to, say, pull the manhole cover? Replace temporarily, and then just take that to a shop and glue that to it, to where it would have time to set up?
The problem with that is the manholes on the bottom, they're coned. So when you set it on top of it, it'd be a wobble. Is that what you're talking about, setting another manhole on top of that, the lid on top of that one?
Well, just temporarily replacing the one that you're gonna adhere the,
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see.
and that way you take it off to the shop, whatever, adhere it, put some weight on it, let it set overnight, and then
Go
put
put
it
it
back.
back on there. It's not a bad idea. We can look at something like that.
If you got some extra manhole covers.
I think we got one or two. If that, huh? We've been going through them, especially with the snow. The blades catch those manholes and rings, and it we've been going through a lot of them this year. So we can see what we got. That's a good idea, Joe. Think
Yeah,
about
'cause
that.
you want it to sit flat, you don't want any curl on it.
Then cars are going, driving right over it, and you put this, adhesive on it,
Yep.
cars are hitting it. Then we had that heavy wind, those things were popping out.
Yeah.
Flying all over
Maybe
the
half
place.
out,
Saucer over there,
half out, half over the hole, half not.
You know, we had just put them on. It was sad because we had just put them on. I was all happy. You know, my guys went out there and man, they knocked it out quick. And the next thing I know, I'm going out Meacham, and at the first one I see, and it's laying over here in the middle of the road, and here comes Tandela coming down the road, and she swerved around. I'm like, oh.
All right, is that the only change you,
That's the
We
only
just send
change
this to the
that we have, yes.
does anybody have anything else?
I think we're good.
Well, the next meeting's, unless we go quarterly, it's April 3rd.
So,
So what do we have to do? Do we have to vote on that, or what?
I think the council votes on it.
it's in the bylaws already.
What's that?
It's already in the bylaws. It's quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, we never did.
We never did change it.
changed We just changed the meeting
Yeah.
dates.
So if the committee right here is okay with it, we'll make it, June. What is it, June?
First Monday.
It will be June 5th.
And
They may be longer meetings.
I doubt it.
Yeah. All right. If that's everything, this meeting's adjourned.
all right.
You can turn it off now.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, well, thank you all.
No.
John, okay.
Thank you, Randy. No Kansas